guys, Matt here from Annealing Made Perfect. We're really close to releasing the new AmpMate. It's got a lot of revised features that make it a lot better than the original model, and this is just a quick video to go through some of those changes and to show it in action. So right here we've got the revised model, and this is the older model right here, and there are a lot of subtle differences, so I'm just going to go through them really quickly. So the very first one that I'm going to go through is the USB cable. So on the original one, you were using your original cable that came with the annealer, and a lot of you would have had to have put this ferrite filter on there to stop the hopper from interfering with the communications. So with the new one, and actually I got so annoyed with it that I actually made my own short version and soldered it all up, and I thought, why can't we get away with not having to do this? So we revised the circuit board so it has that ferrite filter basically on the board. So now we've got a nice clean USB cable that'll ship with the new AmpMate. So when you plug it in, it just forms a nice little loop, and it's a lot tidier than it used to be. So you don't have all that stuff hanging out like you used to. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in and turn it on. In terms of operation, it acts just like the original unit in terms of the startup and all that stuff. So while it's going through its startup phase, we've got another couple of changes. So a lot of you might have had to do this mod on your sensor, which is this part here, and that's a grounding wire. So the new one doesn't have that. It's got that feature built in, so we can get rid of all those wires again. Just put that to one side. That sensor was to stop this thing losing position, so now it just runs properly. Okay, the next thing, moving over here, this switch modification came out not that long ago, and that was to prevent cases that were stuck in the eject part from getting repeatedly annealed. So we've added that as a stock feature. We did send them out to guys who had AmpMates as an attachable item, and we've actually gone and made this entirely new bracket that bolts it there in place a lot better than it used to be with the double-sided tape. And we've also literally yesterday added this tab, and that makes feeding short stubby cases like a 300 blackout here, and especially cases like the 6BR, 6-dasher, that kind of thing. Guys are reporting a lot of problems with them not ejecting properly, so we've fixed that problem now. So you guys that are using 6BR, you'll love this new AmpMate. So a couple of other small features. We've got a revised feeding system here, and it's pretty similar to the old one with the exception that we've got a few tabs that hang down, and that makes it really easy for us to build it more consistently so that this sliding mechanism is always, when it arrives to you, it's nice and free moving. So we had guys which reported that it was binding after opening it up out of the box because things shift. This won't shift out of the box now, so we're really happy about that. So moving on to the demonstration, this is basically how it will come out of the box. You turn it on. If you've got a Mark II, you won't need to update it for it to use the AmpMate. It comes out of the box ready to go, unless there was a software release after you bought your annealer, but you know that's for other things. So moving on to the first thing you want to do is what case are we going to start annealing. So I'm going to start off with some 300 blackout. This is the shortest case, the smallest case that the AmpMate will run. It's simply because of the height of the feed and the depth of insert and all that kind of stuff. This is the shortest case that it'll work. So we're just going to go with our smallest feed guide. You can see that's the smallest one that'll fit. We take out the little screw here, put it in. I start off pretty low here. Just move that up a bit, it was jamming. So move that slider forward, drop a case in, and move it back until it drops down, and then wind the thumb screw here as far forward as you can go. And then again with this control feed tab, move it out until it touches the case, and then just move it forward a bit, lock it. Now we want to come into the We've turned everything on, so it's all connected. We go into amp mate setup, shell holder. This allows us to move the shell holder. So just you can basically move the shell holder to insert your shell holder into the carriage here. So I know I've got my shell holder ready. This is a Reading easy feed, just like with the original model. Screw it in place and tighten it so that the opening's facing the chute there. You can adjust the height with the brass screw just like you did before. This has already been adjusted, and you can test that once I get that out of the way. You can test that in and out. I just use a pinky finger there, and you can see that that's flowing in there really nicely. The next thing to do is to adjust the height of this. The easiest way to do that is to look from this angle and then adjust the height until it is just above the top of the case. I'm just going to get my head in there. Yeah, so that's nice in there now. It's only a millimeter above the top of the case. You can see it's still, maybe that's just a bit low. Yeah, so you can see that's sliding really well, and it's stuck inside that little channel in there to prevent it wobbling side to side. So that's good. Now I can take my drop tube, can put a few cases in. Right, now what I'm going to do here is insert the pilot. So I've got my number 2 pilot for 300 blackout. That just inserts. Okay, now that's ready to go, except I've got to select my program. So if we come around here. Okay, so getting out of the menu, the amp mate setup menu just gives you a lot of things. You can calibrate the eject position. That's the shell holder, we just did that. With the servos function, you can adjust the rotation of the servos. If we send you a replacement one, sometimes the polarity on them is reversed, and you've got to adjust that. That's this menu here. You've got forward, reverse, so on. You've got speed control, so you can adjust the rate of feed if you find cases fall out because it's going too fast. The sensor gives you data on the sensor, that's more for us, and software version of what's loaded on the amp mate currently. Then it's back to cal eject. So for the demo here, I'm just going to go into Aztec and use a really, really low power setting, which won't actually do any annealing at all. It's just to make things go faster for us. So I'm going to use last, it's like 110, it's a really low power. Okay, so we're ready to do a couple of tests with this. So this is 300 blackout. This is the smallest case. And we'll just run a few of these. Maybe come around here and show. Come back out of it. There you go. So at this point we aren't using a hopper. You can drop them in one at a time without the hopper. It depends on the size of the case how many it will run before running out. And if you come here, you can see we've got a count. So there's the counter, right? It's saying we've done 5. It's saying it's in auto mode. If it stops, it tells you it's stopping. Okay, so this is the last one. And so you've got no case coming in. So now it's trying to detect that there's a case. It can't detect that there's a case, and eventually it'll shut itself off, and it'll give you an audible beep. Okay. Now to demonstrate how quick you can change this out, I'm going to quickly change it to 338 La Pur, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, it's just how fast you can do it. So first thing I'm going to do, take out the 223 guide, put that to one side, and then get the 338 guide, which is the largest one, put that in. I'm going to get a 338, push the slider forward, drop a case in. I'm going to wind the stop screw at the back all the way out, because I know I'm going to have to adjust that. And then I'm going to slowly, I'm also going to put the control feed tab forward just to keep this part out of the way. So I'm going to move the slider back until it drops down. It's dropped down. I then move the, just around here, I move the stop until it touches. So that now means that this is going to come back and drop it down each time. Then I take the tab here and I move that back. You can see it's touching the case. Just make sure it's hard up against the slider, and then move it a nudge forward and then lock that up. Right, now I adjust the height. Okay, and now I take the shell holder and I change that to the appropriate one for 338. Now the beauty of using these Reading Easy Feed shell holders is once you set the height of the the carriage here, you won't really have to adjust it ever again after that, no matter what case you're doing. So just to show you what I mean here, going back into the Antmate setup, and if I go into shell holder and bring it back, I haven't adjusted the height, and you can see that just goes in there really well. So you hardly have to play with this once you've set it. So that's a real benefit. Okay, so going back into my Aztec, I know I'm going to have to change the pilot. So I'm going to go run, use last. Okay, at this point you'd enter in the right program for your 338. As I said before, I'm just using a demo sort of program. So inserting the pilot for 338. Okay, and let's put a couple in. And count, right, everything's set. All right, cool, let's go. So that's going from 300 blackout to 338 La Pura, and you can see that it handles it just fine. Okay, one thing I'm going to show you just quickly, we've just finished that. I've just pressed the start button to stop it. At any point, if you want to stop it, just press the start button and it pauses it in the position it's in. You'll notice that with the 338, it was going pretty fast, so I'm going to show you the load speed now, and I can go to slow. It does a little beep there to tell you it's changed. Go back in here and then go run, use last. Okay, now you'll see that the feed is slow now. And this just slows things down in case you want to just make sure it's slow, it goes in a nice consistent feed. Again, it's ran out, so. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of slow mode now. Going back into the Antmate setup, load speed, normal. That brings it fast again. Okay, so I'm going to show you the hopper now. I've actually got some 308 in there ready to go. So I'm going to take out my large feeder, my large guide, and put in my medium one for the 308. I'll just get that in there. There we go. I'm going to get a 308, drop it down, same thing, moving it back until it drops down, and then winding the stop. And I'm going to just quickly adjust this, the tab, inch forward, there we go, and adjusting the height, pretty much set 1 millimeter above, changing out the shell holder. Again, because it's a Reading Easy Feed, I don't have to worry about adjusting the heights. So just locking that, you unwind the grub screw to lock it in, just like the original unit. Now if I go into, just to show you again, shell holder, and then if I bring the shell holder back in, you'll see that feeds really nicely. So yeah, I haven't adjusted the height. Alright, cool. Changing out the pilot here. You can come back a bit. Yeah. Cool. So pilot number 11 for 308. Okay, you'd now enter the right program as you normally would. Use last in this case. Bring in the hopper in, so I want to get my tube, little feed guide tube that goes in there. And now I'm just going to move this hopper back a bit. Alright, so that just snaps in place there. Incidentally, this stand, you can buy this from Creedmoor Sports. They make this specifically for interfacing a case feeder, the Dylan in this case, with the AntMate. They also do some nice pilot trays there to keep your ant pilots there. Okay, so I've got my Dylan hooked up, I've got some gas and they're ready to go. I've already got one there ready to go. I'm going to turn on the hopper and yep, everything's good. Is it going to make it in time? Oh, just in time. There we go. So that's basically the complete setup. You have your case feeder with, in this case, it's Dylan. It'll work with a Hornady as well. So guys, that's the new AntMate. We're really excited to get it out to you guys. We had a lot of feedback from people who bought the original model when we released it a year ago, and we had to really listen and figure out what the problems were, and we added a lot of features, you know, add-on stuff like the ferrite choke, the micro switch adjustment here, the you know, the grounding white wire here. We've tweaked a lot of the design. It isn't until you get a product out there that you realise what can go wrong in a lot of times, and boy did a few things go wrong. We've since revised, we've learnt a lot, and we've got a much better product, more robust. It doesn't jam, like that's a really good feature, right? So this here, we hope to get it out 2 weeks to a month from now. It's going to retail exactly the same price as the original one was, and yeah, we hope to have it out to you guys soon.